God bless you, saints. Welcome to the Time to Grow podcast. I am your host, Trey. Now, this won't be an extended teaching as I desire it to be. It's really meant to be a quick listen to equip you with perspective. We need to take a moment and talk about something important for all saints, disciples, and followers of Christ. There are certain spiritual limits, amounts, or cups for that matter in our life. There is a cup of sin, which when it's filled, judgment then follows. Genesis chapter 15, verse 16. Then in the fourth generation, they will return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. Matthew chapter 23, verses 31 to 32. So you testify against yourselves that you are sons of those who murdered the prophets. Fill up then the measure of your fathers. Now, even your tears are bottled and recorded in heaven. Tears are a language in which no words are spoken. Psalm chapter 56, verse 9. You have recorded my wanderings. You put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? There's even a sin which leads to death, a limit, so to speak, in which a specific sin can cause premature death. 1 John chapter 5, verse 16. If anyone sees his brother committing a sin not leading to death, he should ask, and God will give life to those who commit sin not leading to death. There is a sin leading to death. I am not saying you should ask about that. But with all these things, I want to key in on the measure within your soul. You yourself are a vessel, prayerfully one made for honor. So all believers, or those who have received Jesus, the Son of God, are vessels set apart for God. Vessels are used to contain or hold substance. The main substance that you as a vessel should hold is faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So all things pertaining to kingdom are accessed specifically by faith. The more faith one has, the more God will use you, as well as pour into you. Remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for. So within faith are the very things hoped for. So faith in itself is not just one thing, it becomes a plethora of things. The less faith one has, the less that person can receive. There are certain things that affect your faith as a believer, sin being the most prominent one. Hebrews chapter 3, verses 13 to 14. But encourage one another day by day, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. For we have become partners of Messiah if we hold our original conviction firm until the end. The less talked about one is your theology, your belief of who God is and what he can do and who he can use. Now, this one can be traced back to even Adam and Eve. Their belief of who God is was distorted. Eve was convinced that she could eat the fruit from the tree that she was told not to eat from. She then was able to convince Adam, who was told by God himself not to eat of that specified tree. Their belief was that they could be like God. Their theology was based around that God withholds selfishly. God did not prevent their theology, he allowed it. Their theology infected their faith. You fast forward a little bit, Cain's theology was based around works, that God's approval was of works. His theology bred jealousy, which birthed contempt, giving way to murder. You will notice God spoke to Cain, but Cain did not respond until after he murdered his brother. Cain's theology revolved around works. You fast forward a little bit more. During the Exodus, the Israelites' theology was plagued by Egyptian belief, so much so that they had Aaron build a golden calf, which in turn brought upon a plague that struck the Hebrews. Now watch this. Psalm chapter 18, verses 26 to 27. With the loyal, you deal loyally. With the blameless, you are blameless. With the pure, you are pure. And with the crooked, you are shrewd. Now, as a believer, God will meet you at your theology ultimately. He will respect your theology and respond accordingly. Now, this is where we get into understanding how we receive as believers. Your theology or view of God can ultimately affect your capacity to receive. Let me show you a mystery. Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For through the grace given me, I say to everyone among you, not to think more highly of yourself than you ought to think, but to use sound judgment as God has assigned to each person a measure of faith. Now, here Paul is giving us a breakdown of how the Holy Spirit-filled believer should operate. But he hints at something. God has assigned to each person a measure of faith. Not necessarily the same amount, but a measure, which means you have some. King Solomon also hinted at this mystery. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Moreover, he has set eternity in their heart, yet without the possibility that humankind can ever discover the work that God has done from the beginning to the end. Now, there's so many things to notice just within this one verse. Everything has a set time to blossom or become beautiful. And he has set eternity upon the hearts of all men, triggering the curiosity of eternity. Solomon is saying that there is a strategic placing of faith or wonder within every man to desire to know eternity. This is faith, the substance of things hoped for. The beautiful thing here is that there is no capacity. The only capacity pertaining to faith is what you restrict yourself of. But there is a time of blossoming, so to speak, when it comes to faith, a window of increase. Moments where your faith is stretched by trials and other moments where your faith is increased by encounters. You determine the limitations of your faith. This ultimately is what I dubbed as your capacity to receive. Now, if you have little faith, you cannot receive great things. If you have great faith, then the little you receive becomes great. You need to understand that most things around you, whether it's people that you encounter or situations that you go through, experiences that you even live out, there are things meant to increase your faith or add to it. But when your capacity is limited, you then struggle to receive anything. Teachings become dull. Prayers are often overlooked. Pride can begin to sneak in. Despising of prophecy, isolation. So many things factor into this one subject when you limit your capacity to receive. God has given you a measure of faith. Your job is to add to it. God will bring the increase, but you must remain humble enough to endure, to be processed, to be silent when the time comes, to be obedient when the instruction goes forth, and to remain teachable at all times. Like I said, this was meant to be quick. God bless you, and may God begin to increase your capacity today. Amen.